The Puck Portfolio with Andy McNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio. It is Thursday, December 5th. Big slate on tap today. 9 games in the NHL. And joining me, as always, is Nick Martin, Nation Network's own. Busy man today, I take it. You've got a few articles to get out there, as did I. But we're back, and we're going to break down Thursday slate right now. Nick, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I had a busy morning and I had a game last night, so those things don't tend to work out well because I, have a shortened sleep and then a lot of work to get out there. So
No beers in the locker room after the game.
no,
imagine,
I actually
right?
didn't, but I had another game like the night before and did do that. So just a
So
little
you're
bad.
still feeling it in game number 2. All right. Well, I'm still feeling that puck line loss on the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. You were on the Predators. I was on the Maple Leafs puck line. We both came away as losers in that one. But I think since I might be a little bit more biased here about what just happened in the end of that Toronto game. So I'll let you break it down. Just maybe tell me how unlucky I was not to cash that Leafs puck line bet.
Yeah, I'd put it very high up there on the scale of bad luck. I was happy I even got the Preds first period line because they got outplayed pretty damn bad. I think that's what made it such a bad beat, right? Like you're probably not always going to complain if you don't get the empty netter, but the Leafs
Yeah.
definitely could have won by 2 well before that. And obviously the time expired it was right when the puck entered the net. It was literally hard to tell on first glance. And I do think the ref actually blocked a Marner shot that was probably going in the net too. So
The chances were there.
definitely a very bad beat.
Yeah. And to add salt to the wound, Matt Mitchell, Action Network audio guru, he was pretty fired up on Slack last night. And one of the reasons is that our boss JD sent over this parlay that he hit, and Jake can throw it up on the screen right now. I think I forget how many legs there was, at least 6 legs. All Maple Leaf centric bets. He's a homer Maple Leafs fan. But for some reason, he thought I'd be happy that he hit a $7,000 parlay hit last night after I lost that Leafs puck line. I was not happy. I mean, so great for you, JD, but we all came away losers in that game. So keep your big wins to yourself, buddy. But good for you.
Yeah, I had a brutal night. I was kind of expecting to get that Boldy win, so I was like, all right, good, we'll get that. And then from there on out, my calls were not good. And I feel like it's a different kind of frustration. I think I almost get more mad when something looked like the right take and it loses compared to, I think, the takes I put out there yesterday, which were just not good. Preds really let me down.
Oh well, don't be so hard on yourself, Nashville.
That's the way it goes.
You would expect them to turn the corner at some point, but I mean, like I said, it's just getting harder and harder to see that happening. What's going to happen now probably is that once Nashville's like mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, they'll go on a tear and just be one of the best teams down the stretch in the regular season, right? That just seems like how it's going to go. But yeah, let's talk about the Predators since they are in action again on Thursday. They're going to be in Montreal taking on the Canadiens, and with UC Saros starting in Toronto last night, looks like newly acquired Justice Annunen is going to get his first start with the Predators. That has yet to be confirmed. But they recently traded Scott Wedgwood to the Blackhawks in exchange for Annunen. And it looks like he's going to get his first start. But then again, I mean, desperation is setting in here for Nashville. So it wouldn't be totally shocking to see them go back to UC Saros, I guess, on a back-to-back here. But time is running out for this team. Currently minus 375 to miss the playoffs. That implies that they're going to miss about 80% of the time. I think that's pretty generous for a team that is 2 points ahead of the Chicago Blackhawks. Just with the same amount of games played, which makes it even worse. So that's pretty generous for that type of situation that the Predators are in, and I don't think they're going to make the playoffs 20% of the time. I think they're pretty much out of it at this point. But they are probably going to come with a pretty good effort tonight in Montreal, I would imagine. I mean, that was a pretty tough loss on Wednesday, and the Canadiens are a team that they can't beat realistically, but they're a team that they could also lose to based on how things are going. I mean, this team is currently bookending their seasons with 5-game losing streaks. They started out on a 5-game losing streak. Now they're on a 5-game losing streak. A whole lot of losing in between there as well. So just awful vibes right now in the Nashville locker room. I like both teams to score 3+ goals in this game at plus. What did I have there? Plus 185. That was at Sports Interaction. We've talked about it a lot, Nick. You know, no team is ever as bad as they look. And Nashville has scored 2 or fewer goals in how many games now? 14 out of their last 18 or something like that. It's the 17th time this season that they were held to 2 or fewer games in 26 games and 5 straight games, as a matter of fact. And they've only scored more than 2 goals in a game in 4 out of their last 18. So, yeah, 14 out of the last 18 games. But I think this is a game where both Montreal and Nashville could break out offensively. And I think that plus 185 price tag on both teams to score 3+ goals is pretty appealing. I mean, this total moves throughout the morning, so it was pretty hard to get down on it. It opened around 5.5 minus 130, or at least that's where it was early this morning. And I watched it move to over 6 even money, over 6 minus 115, and I would expect it to continue to maybe tick up there, depending on who starts in goal for the Nashville Predators. Do you have any thoughts on this game, Nick, or any action that you're going to be getting involved in here?
No, I think the only thought that I'd put out there is this is a note I always like to make because, I mean, you're not always going to be able to get down as much as you want, but especially if you can, these ones where, like, I think maybe this one partly moved this much too because of the Preds' performance last night and people are really just coming around on how bad they've been. But these spots where you can guess that it should be a backup and then the market still seems to move once it's confirmed. And at worst, I don't think if you bet the Canadiens last night, you're probably ever going to lose line value, but you had the upside of gaining a lot. So I always like to point out those spots because it does give you a chance to get some really good value. And like Saros has started 9 in a row here. He played last night. So maybe they go back to him just off desperation, but it seems.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely for sure.
Yeah, I feel like at some point you're probably going to, give it up and let him have a rest. So probably going to be Annunen, and the market seems to be reacting accordingly. So I think that's kind of the only note that I would put out there on this one.
Yeah, not a lot of games under Justice Annunen's belt. He did perform pretty well last year in 14 games, 12 starts. Posted a pretty strong goal saved above expected, according to Evolving Hockey. But small sample of games overall. He'd only played 2 games in each of the 2 seasons prior to last year, and then through his time with the Avalanche this season, he has been among the worst goaltenders in the league. And of course, he allowed 5 goals at 16 shots in his last outing against the Tampa Bay Lightning, which probably led to him being dealt in the trade for Scott Wedgwood. But yeah, I like both teams to break out here tonight. And like you said, Saros is in a pretty tough spot, even if he does start. So I still think this could be a good offensive showing, or a potentially good offensive showing for the Canadiens, who have been a lot better at home. They are, what are they at now? 6-5-1 at home compared to just I believe 3-8-1 on the road. But I'm not necessarily like a hockey encyclopedia, right? I do have to read my notes, and I'm sort of misplacing that portion of my note right now. But anyways, the Canadiens a lot better at home than they are on the road, and this is a tough spot for the Preds. So hopefully both teams will bring it tonight. Nick, I'll let you decide which game we're going to move on to next.
Yeah, let's go to the Sharks Lightning game. I still think the over 6 is worthy of a smaller play in that matchup. I gave that one out yesterday. It was minus 110 at open. It's at minus 120. I still think it's a pretty good bet here. And there is some small chance that maybe Vasilevsky doesn't start. I've been trying to check right now to see if he's confirmed, which at that point, obviously, you then see the number move and be getting an even better price.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably be him because of the rest, but he has played 4 straight, and this is kind of on paper the best start to give him out of their upcoming schedule. So we'll see whether or not they look at it that way. But I just think the Sharks offensively have been so good lately that I kind of feel confident that they can come out and surprise. And we've seen the Preds average some pretty high scoring games, or sorry, the Lightning average some pretty high scoring games
Yeah.
of late. I think even without Kucherov, they have the offensive upside to net a pretty strong total on the Sharks here. But I like the chances that we see the Sharks offense kind of continue to generate a decent amount. I don't think they were bad offensively, despite only getting 2 versus the Caps this week. And overall, they've been trending pretty damn well offensively. So I think that a total of 6 is just a little too low in this game.
Yeah, you're right, though. I do think, I mean, you look at the Lightning's upcoming schedule. I think this could be a good spot to get Vasilevsky even more rest. Considering they are going to probably want to play him in maybe 3 out of the 4 games on this upcoming road trip. But I guess we will see about that. And the Lightning, what are they to the total right now? Heading into tonight, they are. Yeah, 11, 10, and 2 to the over. The Sharks are 13, 12, and 3 to the over this season. But I would imagine both teams look a little bit more like over teams lately than they did earlier this season. So I do like that play for sure. I'm looking for a lot of goals tonight as well. But when it comes to the Red Wings and the Senators game, I don't care who scores. I just hope they are members of the Detroit Red Wings because I did lock in Detroit plus 155. Not a lot here to discuss. I don't think. I think Patrick Kane coming back is worth something. Of course, Cam Talbot out right now, and Billy Husso starting for the Red Wings. But I know the Senators have some decent underlying metrics, and I know that there's some good things here, but they're still a bad team. At the end of the day, I think overall this team, hasn't been able to show that they're anything but a bad team. And the underlying metrics haven't, led to the success that they should. And we're nearing the 30 game mark here. And I just think this is too big of a price for a matchup between 2 bad teams. I know the goaltending definitely favors Ottawa, but I mean, look, Linus Ullmark, his last start, they lost to the Anaheim Ducks, so they can lose to the Detroit Red Wings as well. It was plus 155 at Bet365. That was basically the best price in market. I think there was a plus 157 out there at Pinnacle. A lot of plus 150s out there. I like that as well, but 1 unit on the Red Wings at plus 155 for me. Do you have any thoughts on this game, Nick? I know the Red Wings are a hard team to bet on, but they're a frustrating team to bet against as well, right? So I kind of feel a little bit better being on their side here tonight at a big price. I got a lot more so than I would if I was betting on the Ottawa Senators, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're playing slightly better. I've been frustrated because I bet them versus Vancouver and Boston and took 2 3-on-3 losses that were both pretty tough. I think Detroit missed some chances to go up 2, some really good chances. Rasmussen missed a completely open net. And then even the 3-on-3 goal is pretty controversial after the Pasternak missed call. So yeah, I see it with Detroit. I actually do like the argument that they're kind of playing better. I think obviously you're going to see a really spirited effort from the Sens here, but that's been the case all season long. There's been so many of these ones where I kind of was banking on it. I thought this would be the year that they made the playoffs. I bet that. I think it's probably the worst futures bet that I have of all the ones I put out there this year. So that one looks already to be over with once again. And I do think a big part of the problem for the Sens, Artem Zub's not necessarily a big name, but since he's gone down there playing Travis Hamonic on the top pairing, and he's probably been among the worst top pairing defenders in the league right now. Like, it's just been such a struggle since he got up there. And you look at the teams he played, and they struggled to hide that flaw. Like, it was the Ducks, the Sharks, they got completely outplayed, and it was just not even, they're very lucky to get that one. And then the Kings game. So, yeah, that blue line is looking pretty concerning. And like you said, they've got underlying stats that suggest they should be better than their record, but that was kind of the case for a huge part of last season too. So even to build on your thought that, it's getting to the sample where it's starting to be harder to make the argument they'll turn it around, they did this same stuff last year. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I can definitely see the argument for Detroit here. I'm a little worried about the spot from a Sens perspective, but I feel like in my head I think that all the time, and they always let me down. So
Any
Can't.
word on the starting goalie for Winnipeg yet?
No. From what I'm looking at, I
Nothing.
haven't seen a confirmation. Yeah, I
What do you
suppose.
think here? What do you think is going to happen for the Jets as far as goalie usage? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Connor Hellebuck is confirmed here. Yeah, he is.
Okay.
And that happened a while ago. I'm not sure how I missed that. Like I said, busy morning. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen likely. God, I felt bad for the gentleman on ESPN late yesterday afternoon who had to report on the Four Nations face-off rosters, and man, he had a hard time with some of the names. I know. I know. I have a hard time with some of these names sometimes as well. So I'm not poking fun. I'm genuinely sympathizing with this man who has to go out there and pronounce Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for the first time ever on live TV. But yeah, he it was my favorite part was when he got to the goaltenders because he'd be like, uh, you know, Jordan Binnington, who's got a save percentage of this, and this other guy who's got a save percentage or a goals against average of this, and then Sam Mottenball, he's also there. Like he had nothing good that he could say about him, so it's like, but yeah, funny stuff. I'm a little bit surprised that Winnipeg hasn't ticked up here with the Hellebuck confirmation and the news that Rasmus Dahlin will not be playing in tonight's game for the Sabres due to back spasms. So I've got the Jets in the low minus 40s. I'm just looking around here to see if it is maybe worth betting Winnipeg here. Do you have any thoughts on this game, Nick?
No, I kind of brushed past this one. My thoughts, the Jets really have their plays tailed off so bad that I kind of
Yeah.
just brushed over it um, because of that fact. But yeah, minus 135 is out there. So with Darlene out, I would definitely agree that would be my lean here.
Yeah.
Um, the Sabres have been pretty hit or miss too. They're tough to project. I was kind of kicking myself for a period for not betting them versus the Avs because I kind of like
What was it? 5? Was it 5-0 or 4-0?
4-0.
4-0. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by the end of the game, I had accepted that not betting them.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna pass on Winnipeg. I mean, I agree with you, and I haven't been really all that high on them this season. But they're looking pretty rough lately. Of course, Nikolai Ehlers on IR right now, and yeah, it's
Yeah, they played a
Darlene
tough schedule, but they're a really tough schedule. All 5 of these are
for sure. Yeah.
pretty good games or pretty good teams. But last 5 games, they're last in the league with a 35% expected goal share.
Yeah.
So yeah, even if you don't
No,
believe me,
just been too big of a drop off. We talked about it earlier this week how they went from being the top offensive team through the first month or so of the season to being, one of the worst offensive teams over the last little bit. And their defense has dropped off as well, right? I mean, Hellebuck's still gonna help them win a lot of games that they, maybe even games that they shouldn't win, but yeah, definitely not firing on all cylinders right now. But Dahlin is a big part of that Sabres team. The Sabres are a lot better when he's on the ice, and yeah, could definitely swing things. But I probably would have liked to grab Winnipeg, south of minus 130 before the move, maybe when they were around minus 129 earlier. But I think I'm going to pass, mostly minus 140 out there right now. But lots else to get to here. You did decide against backing the Sharks, right?
I did. Yeah, I settled on just liking the over a little more there. I would bet the Sharks before I would bet the Lightning, I think. And what are you gonna it's minus 275 for the Lightning right now. So I feel
Yeah.
like we've already seen the Sharks play pretty tough with some good teams lately. So I'd definitely not be in favor of that.
For sure. So the one other game that I want to talk about, not the biggest slate. It's a big slate, but not the biggest Thursday slate that we're used to. But Columbus and Edmonton going head to head in a rematch from about a month ago when the Blue Jackets kicked their ass 6-1 in Columbus. Of course, that was the game that Connor McDavid got injured in just 37 seconds into his game. So that that had something to do with it. The Oilers did play an overtime game the night before that also had something to do with it. But I think the main takeaway here is that underestimate the Blue Jackets at your own peril, right? Because this team is a lot better, specifically offensively, than I think anybody would have guessed. They're not a bottom feeder team right now. They're playing like a top offensive team in the NHL. I mean, look, they rank 8th in goals per 60 minutes, and only two teams. One of those teams is the Oilers, but only two teams has generated more shots per 60 minutes. So this team is bringing it, and really bringing it sometimes with some high shot totals here. Defense obviously remains an issue. And I think that's mostly to do with goaltending. I mean, the team does rank among the middle of the pack in a lot of defensive categories, but they're bottom of the league, right? In goals against per 60 minutes. Only 4 teams have allowed more goals than the Blue Jackets this year. The Oilers, I mean, I think I was maybe a little bit naive to think that, hey, their days of getting shut out are behind them, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. They poured it on in Vegas, and probably should have won that game. So you can give them a break there, but I don't think you can give them a break if they put forth another lackluster performance against a team that they should beat on home ice. 9 out of 10 times, right? And maybe not 9 out of 10 times, but
Yeah.
just trying to hammer home the point here that this is a winnable game for Edmonton, and a game that they really can't afford to lose at this point, given their early struggles in the season. We did find out that Zach Hyman is going to return tonight, so that's good for the Oilers offense. But Calvin McCarr is starting, and Stuart Skinner's been better lately. Hasn't been great, hasn't been even good, maybe, but he's been better, especially better than he was earlier this season. But I'm not super high on Picard. I don't think it gives the Oilers a lift any more than Skinner does right now. So I also like both teams to score 3+ goals at plus 155. This one projects to be the highest scoring game of the night based on the total. And Columbus can bring it offensively. So I think we're going to see a pretty competitive game, a lot more competitive than people think. And while I did like the over, this was another one that just continued to move, right? As things were coming in on this game. The over ticked up here. The odds moved a little bit, increased a little by little throughout the morning. So I decided on plus 155, both teams to score 3+ goals. Any thoughts here, Nick, on the Blue Jackets or otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing with the Blue Jackets, this was one of my good takes entering the year because I thought they would be really scrappy. And the main reason why was I think Pascal Vincent, people saying he got thrown into a tough role last year, I couldn't disagree more with. He joined the team late, but that was a team that had way more talent than I think people credited. You look at where all these guys were picked and their offensive upside entering the league. So I don't think it's that surprising to see that now that they've found some consistent units and some of those guys are a year further into their development, that this is now actually a pretty respectable offensive team. Like I think a lot of these guys, Fantilli, Sillinger, Kent Johnson, and then Marchenko obviously was the one I think that was the most misused last year, are just pretty good offensive players. So while it seems pretty crazy, maybe they come down to earth to some extent, I also just think they had way too low of offensive expectations entering the season. And it was just one of those things. I think last year, everything that could go wrong went wrong. Yeah. And then this year, it's been a fresh start. I think it's been really good to them. So, yeah, I like the Blue Jackets. I was actually interested.
I actually lean Columbus money line here too. I was tempted, and I still am kind of tempted at plus 240.
Yeah, I know it's one of those things. It just feels like a spot where it's so hard to imagine the Oilers losing it. But aside from that kind of can't lose argument from a numbers perspective, it feels like you're getting a Blue Jackets team that's been pretty good at a good price. I was just going to say, the Blue Jackets were 12-1 to make the playoffs earlier this week. I'm assuming that number is probably still out there somewhere, given that I think they've lost their only game since I looked at that. I don't think that's like the worst bet ever. That final East wildcard spot looks pretty dicey, and I think some of the teams in the mix could come down to earth. And I mean, a win in
I don't know what his odds are, but give me Creed Bratton, Jack Adams Award winner if
I hope not.
Make the playoffs.
Yeah, But I mean, a win in this game, they're depending on the Lightning and Flyers games, they would be tied for that final spot. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a little out there, but I thought it kind of seemed surprising. They have a positive goal differential at 5-on-5. They've been
Yeah.
pretty legitimately decent. Maybe the goaltending is kind of the thing that holds them back coming down the stretch as things get a little tighter and tougher. But yeah, I think they deserve a lot of credit for what they've done this season.
Dean Evison is 14-1 to win the Jack Adams at Sports Interaction.
I think there's
I get it. I understand why, but like that's pretty short. Like
for sure. I agree. Because some of these guys, like I'm obviously really happy with how much we gave out Carberry and having touted that.
yeah,
But Ron Hines still looks really scary with the Wild on top of the league too. So yeah, definitely a tough race to crack. I think you'd rather be backing him to be like a nominee if that was the thing. The other future that's still out there that we gave out preseason is for the north of 100-1. Mitch Marner is still 65-1 to win Art Ross on FanDuel. I think that's still worth a smaller bet. Obviously, some of the big dogs that are likely to win that are off to really good starts, but he's at 36 points thus far, and the Leafs have played 25 games, so he actually has some games in hand over a couple of these guys. So I think it's one of those things. He's putting up like 2 points every single night right now.
yeah.
We could only be 2 weeks out from that number plummeting as they kind of realize he's right there in the race, and especially when he plays those games in hand. If he puts up like 3 points in those games in hand on some of these guys, he's then right there. So
Yeah.
I don't mind that look at all.
Yeah, the Metro is just wild right now. I mean, the Rangers 24 games played, 27 points. The Flyers 25 games played, 27 points. The Penguins 27 games played, 26 points. And there the Blue Jackets are with 24 games played and 25 points. So like just 2 points separating all of those teams. I mean, the Islanders are right there with 25 points as well, although they have 26 games played. So the Penguins and the Islanders kind of behind here a little bit with games in hand. But I mean, it's not a stretch to say that the Blue Jackets could, continue running hot here for a little while and stay in the mix. And I think this is going to be a wide open division outside of maybe the top 3 spots, which seem pretty locked up right now with the Capitals, Devils, and Hurricanes all kind of rolling. So, but yeah, the bottom of the bottom. The wild card race, I think, with the Metro Division teams is going to be really interesting down the stretch, especially if Columbus can get in there and make things even more interesting.
Yeah, and to stay with that, let's do. We can talk about tomorrow's look ahead because there was one price that really jumped out to me.
Yeah,
I just wrote on for the post. The Devils are minus 245 versus the Kraken, so pretty big
yeah,
favorite. But I think when you look at the spot, it's too short, and the puck line's at plus 110 everywhere. So I think that's a great bet to lock in. And especially so, I should note too, if the Kraken do play Joey Decord tonight, I would even be a little higher on the play because then you're going to get Philip Grubauer trying to stop this Devils attack. The Devils are on ideal rest, having not played since Monday. The Kraken
yeah,
are playing 3-4. They do have Vince Dunn back, who I think is one of the most underrated defenders in the whole league, but that's kind of the only case working for them. You look at their last 10, their played opponents averaging 23rd place in points percentage. They've had the Ducks twice in there, the Sharks twice in there, the Islanders, the Preds. They've played some really bad teams, and they're still just 5-5. So I think if anything, they're looking more respectable than they probably will be just because of who they've played. I know that they had that good win over the Hurricanes on Tuesday, but I think outside of that, it's been pretty unconvincing from them. And they're getting a Devils team that looks really good right now. I think as long as the Devils goaltending keeps stabilizing, I feel really confident that they are going to be one of the best regular season teams this year. So I think it's a really tough spot for them playing 3-4 versus a really fast, dynamic Devils side. I think it has blowout potential. So that one, I look at it and I'm like, plus 110 for them to cover the puck line seems like a pretty great number. I think that'll move overnight.
I'm just smiling here because I can't help but think of the clip I watched yesterday evening of I'm guessing some kind of podcast with Pierre Maguire and Jack Hughes' father was the guest, and they were talking about Valaket's comments on the Rangers broadcast, and it's like, dude, you guys have already spent like way too much time talking about this. Like, and I get it. Like, it was a stupid comment by the Rangers broadcaster, talking about how Hughes trying the Forsberg one-handed goal was, somehow he was trying to embarrass Shesterkin. No, I think he's just trying to score,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think, I don't think he's thinking about embarrass. I don't think anybody's thinking about embarrassing the
I think
goalie,
his
right? They
move
want
kind
to,
of fell apart. Like I think he got in a little tight, and Shesterkin was sitting deep, and then he
yeah.
just. I'm guessing it was almost like kind of more of a panic thing, where I feel like he kind of waited too long to see what would open up, and then he ended up.
Yeah, no, it was a dumb comment. I
It
mean,
was.
just
I loved
trying to
some.
fill airtime. But Pierre Maguire was acting like, like the guy called his mother something awful or something like that. Like, it's so inappropriate. Like, come on, guys. Like, this is not a big deal. Like, it's like, just stop
Yeah,
talking about it.
I liked Hughes' comments on it because I don't think he was acting. I think he was genuinely like shocked that people thought anything of that.
Yeah, no, and like that's just it, right? He was like, "What? What does that even mean? It doesn't make any sense." Like, and that's all you got to say to something like that. It wasn't, it wasn't that important. It wasn't that like important or like inappropriate. I mean, whatever. Like,
Well,
broadcasters make stupid comments like that all the time.
yeah, I'm not trying to pick on Valaket too, but I did see edits of how he was like really adamant that the Devils made a mistake taking Hughes over Kako. People clipped Hughes' 2 goals from that night and that Kako comment together with Valaket's comments, and just I saw some edits of it that were pretty great. So yeah,
Yeah.
Hughes keeps owning the Rangers and definitely showing why he was the top pick.
For sure. Yeah, no, there's definitely some bias there and some bitterness for sure on the part of Valaket. Did you have another bet that you wanted to give out
Yeah,
today?
there was.
I've got the Predators and the Canadians both to score 3 goals at plus 185. I've got the Oilers and Blue Jackets to score 3+ goals each at plus 155, and I've also got the Red Wings money line at plus 155. You've got over 6.5, is it, in San Jose or in Tampa Bay, or 6?
6. That one's still out there at 6 too. But the other one that I do like is the over 6.5 in the Hurricanes Avs game. I think it's a really good
Nice.
spot. Neither team's got convincing goaltending right now, and the Hurricanes' defensive play has actually fallen off a lot. For the last 5 games, they've
Yeah.
allowed the 4th highest expected goals against per 60. They're still generating at a respectable rate, but I think it's been more than just the goaltenders coming down to earth. And now they do have Kochekov back, but I think lots to complain about there. I think the last matchup between these teams was 6-5. It was a wild
Yeah.
one. I know it was on the Hurricanes and they blew a lead. But I just think right now, like this could be another one too to go right back to both teams to score 3 to get the better number there as well, because I do think that this is one where I like it because of the chances both teams will score 3. And the Avs defensive play, I think, is far from good. Obviously, we saw versus Buffalo, they had to dig their way out
Yep.
of a 4-goal hole. But it's just kind of been a multi-season sample. And even when they won the Cup, they're still a team that was based more on offensive play than not. And, I just think you look at the way they're going to need to win this game. I don't really see them stopping the Hurricanes the way they've been going offensively. So I feel like with the goaltenders in there and even the underlying results showing that both these teams are well below average right now defensively, I don't know if it'd be fair to actually rate the Hurricanes as a below average defensive team. I don't really.
Yeah, no, I don't think it would be fair,
But
but
obviously
current form, they're kind of playing like it right now.
yeah, they're out of form. And even if you just move the needle and say they're whatever, like a top 3rd defensive team, they're taking on one of the league's best offensive teams with a shaky goaltending situation. So I like the chances that this one gets to something like 4-3, 5-3 pretty often.
Yeah, 6-4 in the last game back on November 9th. The Abs have won 6 out of the last 10 meetings. And yeah, the last 3 meetings have featured 2 of them 10 goals and one of them 7 goals. And I would expect something similar based on how these two teams are playing right now. So I like that as well, Nick. Might have to think about adding that myself. But yeah, just the 3 bets for me today right now. The Red Wings money line and Edmonton Blue Jackets Columbus and Edmonton to both score 3+ goals at plus 155. Montreal and Nashville, both to score 3+ goals at +185. Like I said, Nick's got the over 6 in San Jose and Tampa Bay. He's also got the over 6.5. You said right in Carolina and Colorado. And was there one more outside of that Devils look ahead that you talked about, or did I am I just forgetting something?
I feel like I had 3, but I can't remember what the third one was here.
I'll check
Maybe
Slack.
That's right. Oh, sorry,
yeah.
that was the other one that we brushed past that whole Oilers game. But I did think that the number for McDavid to get 2 points looked a little short, and it's a little harder to make that case after we talked about Columbus. But he's at -130 to record 2 points here. Feels like he's kind of clicked his game into high gear. Obviously, it was a tough night in Vegas, but the Blue Jackets still are struggling to defend. I think it's a really good target for him. And you look at how he's been hitting this of late. It's just one to me. It's chalky, but -130 just seems really like a great number for that. And I do, like you said, think it's a good spot for both teams to produce some offense, and hopefully the Oilers to need to lean on McDavid a lot to get the result that they want out of this one. So I like that play as well.
Yeah, and he's roughly -110 to go over 3.5 shots. I don't hate that either. He's hit that in
that one's been
his
good.
last 11 games. So
I feel like you're like 4 or something like that on that prop lately.
Yeah, it's been an easy one. And like you said, the Blue Jackets are struggling to defend. But with Hyman back tonight, could see a little bit of a different look for McDavid. And I mean, the thing with McDavid right now, and Draisaitl too, for that matter, is like the only way like Edmonton is winning or having good performances is when these guys really step up and have multi-point games and whatnot. So the pressure is definitely on both players to produce right now. And that's probably a good thing for your over 1.5 point prop. But yeah, until next week, I guess stay tuned to the different Nation Network websites. I'll have stuff up at Oilers Nation. Nick will be covering the Leafs over at Leafs Nation, Flames at Flames Nation, and the Canucks at Canucks Army. I'll have previews up on DFO tomorrow, and probably something on the weekend as well. But yeah, until Tuesday's show, good luck with your bets. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.